My heart is broken, but what can I? Some pride inside me is woken.
My name is Sandra, and I'm going down to Cradley to see my dad making chain.
When the final farewells have been spoken.
As I'm walking down the hill, I can hear him singing. There are lots of men in the workshop, and I can hear their voices. They're singing really quite loudly.
I'll try my best not to cry by and by, but the final
I'm going into the workshop, and I can smell the chain as I'm walking through the door and feel the heat from the fire.
Though you're only 3, sonny boy,
it's a nice glow in the fire, and I'm happy to be here.
Showing what you mean to me, sonny boy. My name is Clary Johnson. I came from Cradleheath, where I first learned to make chain as a 14-year-old lad after I'd left school. And the first factory I worked for was Cradley Chain Manufacturing, but I left that firm in 1954 to start a job at Jones & Lloyd's in Cradley. I worked at Jones & Lloyd's for 15 years, up until the time they closed down and finished trading. I then went to work for Noah Bloomers in Quarry Bank, and I worked there for 15 years, and then I finished my working days at Barzilla Hingley's in Cradleheath. I first started to make chain at 14. I started on the size of 5/8 of an inch, and eventually worked up to making chains of 1 inch. Chain makers, once they were proficient in the art of making chain, were always paid piecework with the price of each individual size of chain at its own price to it. We were paid by weight, per hundredweight. The price list was per hundredweight of chain. We had a figure for that. On each size, different sizes at different prices. This was a chain shop in Cradley for Jones & Lloyd's, and they made chains from sizes of 1/2 inch up to 1 inch. That was a maximum size of chain that one man could make. Sizes above 1 inch, they needed a chain maker and a striker to help him. But they only made sizes of 1/2 inch up to 1 inch in this chain shop. There would be a chain maker at each block, each fire, each standing. So as I say, if you counted the number of hearths in the chain shop, that was the number of men that were normally working in the shop itself. Well, really, there were apprenticeships in chain making, but they were very few. I didn't have an apprenticeship. I was taught to make chain by the father of the man who's owned Cradley Chain and Manufacturing. He taught me how to make chain, which took about approximately 6 weeks to 8 weeks before I became proficient in the art of welding the chain to a good standard. And while I was training, as you might say, I was paid day work at that as a price, and I think it was 35 shillings a week to learn. And then after 6 weeks, Mr. Pegg, who I work for, came down and said, "You're proficient enough now, so you could start working and making chain piecework." So that meant I was paid by weight, by the chains I made in a day. Well, in the summer it would be very, very hot. There was a lot of noise, the hammering and the blasts that were blowing. It was really a noisy environment for people to work in. In the winter, when the wind was blowing, the snow was blowing, there was no glass in the windows, it was only bars, so they pulled the shutters across to shut out the wind and the snow. In the summer, when it was very hot, all the windows were wide open, and to try and keep the shop as cool as we could.